Folks, is open bidding now a thing? I'll talk about that and then get into the latest home prices and insights for York Region for week ending November 29th, 2023. I announced last week, thousands of you watch these videos every single week, yet 60% of you are not subscribed. So a whole bunch of you subscribed. Thank you for that. If you've not yet subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing. If you want to be reminded when these videos come up, hit the bell button. So the real estate rules have changed. As of December 1st, just a few days ago, December 1st, the rules are different now. We have a new act that's governing the real estate rules. In short, it's called TRESA, Trust in Real Estate Services Act. I'm not going to get into the whole act right now, but you're seeing headlines about open bidding is now allowed, and maybe you think blind bidding is a thing of the past. Let me just set the record straight and give you my take on what's happening. So, yes, open bidding is now allowed, but it's not automatic. I wish it was. I wish there would just be one rule that said every offer at every time, anytime there's more than one offer, the other competing offers, everybody's going to know what's the details of the offers. But that's not the case. Open bidding is allowed. In other words, if there's an offer on a property and you put in another offer, so there's more than one offer, to know what the contents of the other offer are, price, for example, it's allowed only if the seller chooses to make the contents of the offers known to the other buyers. So it's the seller's choice whether open bidding happens and is allowed on that specific property. It's triggered by the seller. So I guess the question is, why would a seller want that? Because, you know, it's kind of been in the seller's favor to have closed bidding or blind bidding, the way everybody calls it. Well, it's kind of in the seller's favor to not have open bidding. And so it's the seller's choice. So if the seller chooses, no, I don't want anyone to know the contents of any other offer, then it's business as it's always been here in Ontario real estate. But if the seller chooses to open the contents up, then the seller can choose which aspects of the offer he or she wants other buyers to know. It may be the purchase price, it may be the closing date, it may be conditions. Whatever the seller wants to let other buyers know, it's up to the seller. But the seller, again, can say, no, nobody's going to know nothing. It's blind bidding. So those are the rules. Now, the buyer has some recourse also. Buyers can put clauses in their offer saying, if the contents of my offer get shared with anybody else, then my offer is null and void. And you're wondering, why would a buyer do that? Well, what if you're putting in an offer and you feel that you have the highest bid? You don't want other buyers to know your bid being the highest. So you say to the seller, listen, here's an offer. It's a really good offer. But if you share my contents with anybody else, my offer's off the table. You see how this complicates things? I think there's more problems than solutions here. I wish the government just would have mandated, that's it. They're all open biddings, price is going to be told to everybody, and that's it. But it's not the case. It's a seller's choice, and the buyer can play around with that whole open bidding, blind bidding for everybody. But again, I wish it was different, that open bidding was allowed everywhere. It's not. It's the seller's choice. Hope this clears it up for you. Maybe a little bit foggy still, not sure. But if you get value from what we're talking about, please subscribe. If you think this video can help somebody you know, pass it along. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, there's a link up here to my calendar. There's a link in the description to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. So with the new rules, does this mean blind bidding is finally gone? Not really. We're taking baby steps to get there. Let's get into the numbers. Here's a quick summary. Vaughan, Richmond Hill, Markham. This is for average sold price for detached properties. Prices are pretty close together still. They've been staying like this for a while. The low is 1660. That's for Richmond Hill. The high is 1743. That's for Vaughan. But Markham is only $2,000 off of that. So prices are pretty close together. Still is a $113,000 difference between the low and the high average. Let's start off with Vaughan. Detached properties broken down by week for a whole year. For week ending November 29th, 16 detached properties were sold. 2 of those were at $2 million or more. Now, folks, I gotta say, I'm all about the numbers. I study them, but I know it's not an exact science. Once we get this low of a sampling, 16, 17, 19, when numbers are that low, sales and the sample sizes can really affect the average sold price one way or another. So we're more looking at trends versus what happens on a specific week. So this week, 16 were sold. We do expect sales to be trending down, and if we remove the 2 outliers here of 31 and 30, sales are trickling down, but it's seasonal. We do expect sales as we head into the holiday season. We're in December now. This is for week ending 29th. Year's almost coming to an end. It's normal, seasonal. Every year, everything kind of comes to a slowdown. 16 were sold. Average sold price, $1,743,000. Here's something I'm going to say that is going to drive a bunch of you nuts. If we take out the one crazy week out here, it kind of looks like average sold prices are trending up. And I spend a lot of time looking at properties and the sales and seeing what's happening and working with clients in these neighborhoods. I can tell you there's been a ton of properties priced in the 2 million or more range that have had some price reductions and are now being sold, which overall, especially when the sampling is so few, it does bring up the average sold price. And this has been happening for quite a bit. So it kind of looks like average sold price is going up. You kind of got to really look at the individual neighborhood to really figure out, and you'll see overall prices are actually coming down. Compared to last year, 1743 is 13% lower than where we were the same week a year ago. The median price, 1530, is 5%, excuse me, it's 5% lower than where we were this time a year ago. 16 we said were sold, a quarter of them, 25% sold at list price or more, so 4 of them. Listings dropping, that's normal. Active listings trending down, that's normal. Normal, I mean, it's seasonally normal for that to happen. Months of inventory sitting at 5 months of inventory. It's pretty much a balanced market, and in many neighborhoods, a buyer's market right now. Here is Richmond Hill. Looks like sales are going up in Richmond Hill. 18 detached properties were sold. 2 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price, pretty close to where we were last week, sitting at $1,660,000. Overall, average price is trending down in Richmond Hill. 1,660 is 5% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price, a bit lower. If you look at the dotted line, the 4-week moving average, overall moving down. The median price is I put an arrow pointing down that it's dropped by 0%. So I'm rounding numbers. So it has dropped, but it's still rounded to 0%. 18 were sold, 17% sold at list price or more. So not a lot. Listings coming down. Active listings slowly trickling down. Months of inventory coming down, sitting at 3.5 months of inventory. Here's Markham. Sales pretty much the same since the beginning of October. 24 detached properties were sold. 5 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price came up to $1,741,000. Similar situation to Vaughan. You had your $2 million plus properties doing some price reductions. They get sold, but because there's such few sales, we're in the 20s, it brings up the overall average. However, prices have been overall coming down. 1741 is 2% lower than where we were, 2% higher than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is 9% lower than where we were this time a year ago. Of the 24 that sold, 50%, half sold at list price or more. Now, why would that happen when we're more in a balanced market or we're more in a buyer's market in some neighborhoods? And you could see the percentage trending down. Well, property could be sitting, could be sitting, could be sitting. Nobody wants it. Price gets reduced, and now the price is aggressive, and boom, a buyer thinks, oh, that's a good price, let me buy it now, give them full price. Or one or more buyers tries to buy it and start to compete, and they pay slightly higher than the list price. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here. This is interesting though. Sales, year-to-date sales. Markham is one of the few areas where sales is actually higher than where year-to-date sales higher this year versus last year. In most areas, we have fewer sales this year. Markham 1% higher than what we were selling last year, year-to-date. Listings coming down. Active listings coming down. Months of inventory sitting at 2.1 months of inventory. Pretty low, I got to tell you. In most areas, we are more than 3 months of inventory. Here are condos. This is for all of York region. 31 condos were sold. One of those was at $1 million or more. Average sold price trending down aggressively, sitting at now $647,000. 647 is 6% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price, $598, came way down. It's 13% lower year over year. Average price, median price, if you look at the dotted line, it's pretty clear it's trending down. The dotted line, that's a 4-week moving average. 31 were sold, 13% sold at list price or more. Listings coming down, although they were quite flat for a while. Active listings, not really coming down. It's hard to see that trend. Active listings still look high, but individual listings coming down. Months of inventory sitting at 5.2 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary. Look, in most areas, you're going to have a balanced market. Many areas, you're going to experience a buyer's market. Some areas, individual situations, especially when it's a really, really nice house and a price gets dropped to where the seller says, man, I got to sell it, and the price comes down. It can be competitive still. And if you're looking to sell, you got to know what's happening in your area. If you're looking to buy, you got to understand the strategies in the different areas to buy. Who you hire matters. Align yourself with somebody that understands what's happening out there. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.